Organizer here, aka Kimball, back again on the Lumina. Today I'm going to work on the cooling system. My original plan was to replace most of the components, basically everything but the radiator on the cooling system, all the hoses, the thermostat housing, and the water pump. Actually, I have all the parts to do that, but then I was reviewing again my next project, which is going to be the intake manifold gasket, and realized that most of that has to come off anyway for the intake manifold gasket. I also read, once I got the new pump, that the warranty on the pump is void if I don't flush the radiator or the cooling system while I'm replacing everything. So the strategy I'm going after is going to be removing the cooling system, flushing everything out. Well, so I'll unattach half of it, flush everything real good, and then remove the water pump and the housing and all that kind of stuff, and then stop there. And then from there, I'll go into doing the intake manifold gasket and get that replaced, taking stripped down, put back together, but then stop at that point and then do a separate video putting the rest of the cooling system back together, filling it up and bleeding it and all that good stuff. I also planned on having Taylor here with me, since it's his car and I want him to have experience working on it. But he was working at a haunted house last night and twisted his ankle, and he's got to work tonight. He feels good enough to be able to do that, but I figured it'd be best if he stayed and rest up his ankle rather than playing around with this. I'll get him involved yet. Don't you worry. Well, let's get to it. So first thing I'm going to do, which really isn't necessary for the water system, but because of everything else I'm going to be doing, I'm going to go ahead and disconnect the battery. Better safe than sorry, as they say. And there we go. Now, admittedly, this is kind of hard to get an angle on without someone holding a camera, but so be it. Now, normally when you drain out the radiator on this, you use the radiator drain plug, which is on the driver's side of the car. But with the plug is plastic. This is 20 years old, and there's a chance that it's gotten very brittle and would break while unplugging it. And if that breaks, I've got to get a whole new radiator. So I'm going to do the backup system, which is removing the lowest hose, which is the intake hose. The lower hose, I should say. So first, go ahead and open up the radiator, or pull off the radiator cap. You want to do that slowly if your engine's hot. In fact, you don't want to do this at all if your engine's hot. This car's been sitting here for a month. I'm not worried about it. And this car stock uses these binding clips. Let's see if we get a wrench on that. And of course, the tabs are on the bottom, not the top, for whatever reason. Sides. And of course you want to catch basin down below because this is going to make a mess. If you're dealing with your radiator, you gotta make sure that you dispose of the old fluid properly. Stuff's very caustic and will kill animals. All right. And if some splashes out of your bin, like mine did, one way to absorb that easily is kitty litter.
Not only does it absorb, but get the right kind, it smells halfway decent. Works really great with oil too. For now, all right.
Now, normally if I was just doing just a standard flush, drop that hose, run water through the system, flush it out, then get in through here, replace the parts back in here, and place the water pump down here and be done with it. But I know of several guys on these type of platforms, they will actually about every 75,000 miles pull the radiator and completely flush the radiator, because that's where most of the junk's at. So that's what I'm actually going to attempt to do today, is pull out the radiator, flush that, then use this upper hose to flush the engine, and then remove the parts that are going to be off permanently, which means also putting the radiator back in, because I'm not replacing that. So now part of that will be uninstalling these engine braces, which most guys are as required to do anyway for the intake manifold. So it's just steps that really make a lot of sense to go ahead and do together. All right. So this bigger bolt, I believe, is a 13 millimeter. I read that wrong. Those are rivets, not bolts. A lot more space. Let's see. So those are probably going to be 10s. So we gotta get the fans out of the way. I'm gonna go see if my dad's 90-degree pneumatic is working. This should speed things up. The trade-off with using the pneumatic gun is, of course, the noise.
There we go. Alrighty. Let's take off this upper hose. Yeah, well. Really prefer normal clamps. They're screw based. A lot easier to deal with. Don't know which one's actually better for grip. Just know the ones are easier to mess with. Normally I keep it on the hose, but again I'm replacing the hoses when I put everything back together. So we can get this hose out of the way altogether. Oop, yes. There's some fluid in the hose. This is probably going to splash out a bit. Oh well. So be it. Okay, that's hose one. It's really not recommended to do this kind of work on your driveway unless you're really good about containing the radiator fluid. Again, it tastes sweet to a cat or a dog, and it will kill them. Now this is going to be fun because the bolt is right back in there. I think I can get to it with the socket. Alrighty. Stand two. Alrighty. Got to take off the overflow. Easy there. Alrighty then. Actually, I forgot I had these wrenches. So see if they're big enough. I prefer using an actual sized wrench than a crescent wrench when I can. These are obviously built for doing these kind of pipes. Good. So it feels a little bit big to me. It's a 19. Try the 17. So it's either an 18 or a 19. That 19 is getting a grip on it without stripping it. would go faster if I got rid of this brace. Give me more room to work. Just gonna hold off on those till a little later, but leave that right one on there just to keep it from moving as much. Now we'll see if I have 18 standard, because I don't want to egg that. Yeah, it's an 18. There we go. Now the other one's going to be get out of the way a bit. If I can, anyway. I'm going to pull this lower hose out, give me some more space. Where did I put it? There it is. There we go. That one's definitely the most cooked on there. Ow. Give me more working capital. Just the angle on that. This 19 is probably easier to get started. If we got an angle to get on onto the line, which I may not. There we go. There we go. All right. Let's change angles. All right. Now I'm gonna, since that is most likely connected into the oil system. Oh, actually, That is attached to the power steering pump. At least this side cooling is. Yeah, that side was definitely oil. So this is power steering cooling here. Oh, but that's not attached. Good. It looks like that may not be attached to the radiator. I'm hoping it's not, because I really don't want to have to deal with that fluid as well. So assuming that it's not, big assumption, let's go ahead and get this other mounting bracket off the radiator and see if it comes out. There we go. And put that over there. Good, it's not attached to that. That makes me feel much better. It does feel like there's something mounting, actually holding onto it from down below. And there's a wind block here, but it keeps me from actually being able to see in there, and I don't want to get my head under there with the mess I just made. I can feel a couple bolts down here. Well, right in the center there. Ah, okay. Something holding on the ends. Some kind of bushing, maybe. That's out. Yeah. Let's see if it's a 13. It looks bigger than a 10. You see a lot of, they try to minimize the number of different sizes of bolts they use. No, it's bigger than a 13. Knew I should have worn pants today. Ah, that might be an Allen wrench. Allen bolting. Double check real quick. Actually, check the manual. What a novel concept. I did discover those oil lines were transmission cooling lines, so I have to top that off when I put things back together. And I can't find any information on those being bolts, so it looks like those may just be kind of some kind of snap fitting to just gotta yank it off of it. That side's already off, so yeah. Guess I was just being too delicate. I'm thinking I may put that hose back on the lower end just to keep it from dripping over while I'm walking. All right, looks like to get this out, I got to remove the air intake housing, just gonna from there, which will have to come off anyway for doing the upper intake. So. In fact, before I put everything back together, I'll probably get a new air filter. Might as well, since I'll have this all open. If you have auto shops change your oil, of course, you know that they try and get you to do it. They check on that for you, and they mark up the air filters. nothing against them. They're doing their business, and it's convenient for a lot of people that don't want to do any of their own work. But it's a piece of maintenance you can do yourself for really cheap. And I've had on vehicles where the filter sits at weird places. I've had my vehicles damaged before by guys that didn't know what they were doing. Not that I really do, but at least I investigate beforehand. Where did I put my flathead? These are the kind of pipe bindings I really like, the screw based. Just easier to deal with. Yeah, it's a dirty air filter. Not horrible, but could use a replacement. Now, looks like that box is probably an 8. Or a 10, I mean, not 8. Yeah, it's a 10. So the problem with this air intake was what was blocking the radiator from coming out. The air scoop, I guess, is the name of it. Oh, so I gotta take this guy off. Again, which will have to come off anyway. So eventually the entire air housing will come off. But just this mass flow sensor or assembly, a lot easier to get off than everything else for what we're doing. Just really kicked on it because it's sat there for 20 years. Not coming off. There we go. It just doesn't want to do nothing easy tonight. There we go. It's also a good opportunity to check the boots for leaks. Because if these get leaks and it screws up your airflow mixture and your car starts running real rough. It's actually in really good condition. Now, get the rest of this out of here. Plenty of room. Alrighty. Now part of the reason why I went through all that pain to actually get this out, so I'm going to take it outside to the hose and really flush it out well. One of the problems here, we have a lot of alkali in the soil, which gets into the water. So after I flush it with the hose, then I'm going to run distilled water through it, try and clean that out. Then I'm going to run distilled water through the engine, try and get as much there as I can before I finish taking other parts off.